You walk out to the pepper patch you babied all spring, and there it is. A tall, lush, beautiful green plant, and almost no peppers on it. Or worse, the few that came in have gone soft and black on the bottom. I know that sinking feeling, because I lost whole summers to it before anyone told me the truth. These plants weren't failing. I was quietly ruining them 5 small ways without knowing. So let me save you a season. Here are the 5 pepper mistakes that wreck an entire harvest, and the fixes that cost you nothing. Let me be square with you right at the start, because this audience does not have patience for fluff. Every one of these fixes is free. Not a single one asks you to buy a bottle, a bag, or a gadget. They ask you to do less in some places and to do a little smarter in others. And one of these 5, the 4th one, is the exact reason those peppers rot black on the bottom while the plant above looks perfectly healthy. It is the mistake almost everyone fixes the wrong way, throwing money at it when the real answer is free, and I will show you exactly what to do instead when we get there. Number 1. You are watering too often and never the same way twice. This is the first mistake, and it is the quiet root of half the trouble on this whole list. You walk past the pepper bed, the top of the soil looks dry, so you give it a splash. 2 days later, you do it again. A hot afternoon scares you into a third. You feel like an attentive gardener, and all the while, you are teaching that plant to grow a lazy, shallow root system that panics every time the surface dries out. Peppers do not want a little sip every day. They want a deep, thorough soak, and then they want the top inch or 2 of soil to dry out before the next one. That wet, dry rhythm you fall into by accident is the worst of both worlds. The roots never reach down where the moisture is steady, and the plant lives in a constant state of feast or famine. Stressed plants drop their flowers, and a dropped flower is a pepper you will never eat. The free fix is to change your rhythm, not your effort. Water deeply and less often. Give the bed a long, slow drink that soaks down 4 or 5 inches. Then leave it alone until the soil an inch down feels dry to your finger. In most gardens, that lands somewhere around once or twice a week, more in a heat wave, less after rain. The University of Minnesota Extension recommends keeping pepper soil evenly moist through the season rather than letting it swing between soaked and bone dry. And that evenness is the whole game. Here is the free trick that makes it effortless. A couple of inches of mulch over the soil, straw, shredded leaves, dried grass clippings, anything you already have, acts like a lid on a pot. It holds the moisture in, it keeps the wild swings from happening, and it means you can water less and worry less. Think of bare soil as a wet towel left flat in the sun. It dries hard and cracked in an hour. Mulch is the same towel folded and set in the shade. It stays damp and soft for days. One more free habit helps here. Water in the early morning rather than the heat of the afternoon, so the roots drink deeply before the sun pulls the moisture away, and the leaves have all day to dry off. Wet leaves sitting through a cool night are how fungus gets its foothold. Morning water, at the base, into mulched soil, and you have given the plant the one thing it craves above all else, which is steadiness. Get this rhythm right, and you have quietly solved the first stone in a whole chain of problems. Number 2. You are feeding it food that grows leaves instead of peppers. Here is the mistake that fools the proudest gardeners, because the plant looks so good while it happens. You want a strong pepper plant, so you feed it. You reach for the same all-purpose fertilizer you use on everything, the lawn food, the leftover bag from the shed, and you give your peppers a generous dose. And they respond. They shoot up tall and bushy and deep green, the picture of health. Then July turns to August and you realize there is barely a pepper on the whole thing. That deep green is the tell. It means the plant is swimming in nitrogen, the nutrient that builds leaves and stems. Nitrogen is the first number on a fertilizer bag, and most general feeds are heavy with it. Give a pepper too much and you get exactly what you asked for, magnificent foliage, at the direct expense of the flowers and fruit you actually wanted. The plant is pouring all its energy into growing green and none into making peppers. Michigan State University Extension notes that excess nitrogen pushes pepper plants toward leafy growth and away from fruit set, which is the opposite of what you are after. The free fix is to stop feeding the leaves and start supporting the flowers. Once your peppers are established and starting to blossom, they want less nitrogen and more of the other 2 players, phosphorus and potassium, the second and third numbers on the bag, the ones that drive roots, flowers, and fruit. If you have wood ash from a clean fire, A light scattering worked into the soil adds potassium for free. They'll go easy because it also sweetens the soil, so a little goes a long way and not every season. Even simpler, if your plant is already big and green, the best thing you can do is nothing. Stop feeding entirely and let it burn off the excess. Think of it like a teenager living on nothing but bread. They will grow tall fast, but they are not getting what the body actually needs to do its real work. Your leafy, fruitless pepper is that same story. Cut back the bread, and the plant finally gets around to the job you planted it for. Feeding is the mistake you make above the ground. The next one happens before the plant is even in the ground. Number 3. You planted it too early into cold soil. I understand the itch. The last frost passes, the garden center is full of pepper starts, the sun is out for the first warm weekend, and you cannot wait to get them in the ground. So you plant. And then your peppers just sit there. For weeks. They do not die, but they do not grow either. The leaves go a little yellow or purple, the plant sulks, and by the time it finally wakes up you have lost a month of your season, which in a short summer is the difference between a full harvest and a handful. Peppers come from hot places, and they are honest about it. They do not care about the calendar or the air temperature. They care about the soil, and cold soil shuts them down. Drop a heat-loving pepper into ground that is still cold from winter, and the roots simply refuse to work. They cannot take up water or nutrients properly, growth stalls, and the plant becomes a sitting target for stress and disease. Peppers want the soil to be warm, somewhere around 60 to 65 degrees at planting time, before they will settle in and take off. The free fix costs you only patience and a little cleverness. First, wait. Let the soil warm up properly before you plant, a week or two past the moment you think it is ready, because air warms long before the ground does. You can check with a cheap kitchen thermometer, pushed a few inches into the bed in the morning, or simply feel it. If it feels cold and clammy against the back of your hand, it is too cold for peppers. And if you want to cheat the season for free, lay a piece of dark cardboard or an old dark cloth over the bed for a week or two before planting. It soaks up the sun and warms the soil underneath, like a black car seat baking on a summer day. 2 other free tricks help the ground hold that warmth. If you garden in a raised bed, the soil in it warms faster than the flat ground around it, because the sun reaches its sides as well as its top. And planting on a small mound, rather than a flat surface, gives the sun more soil to warm and lets the cold spring water drain away instead of chilling the roots. None of that costs a cent. It is just a matter of where and when you put the plant, not what you spend on it. Pull it off, plant into the warm ground, and your peppers hit the ground running instead of shivering. A pepper that starts strong in warm soil will outrun one planted 2 weeks earlier into cold ground almost every single time, and it will do it without ever catching the chill that stunts a plant for the rest of the summer. If this is the kind of gardening you like, the sort that works with the plant instead of fighting it, take a quick second to subscribe, because that is exactly what this channel is built on. Number 4. You think blossom end rot is a calcium shortage, so you keep dumping calcium. This is the one I promised you at the top, the mistake that ruins the peppers that actually made it. You walk out and there they are, a few good-sized peppers, and everyone has a dark, sunken, leathery patch spreading across the bottom, like the fruit rotted from the blossom end backward. That is blossom end rot, and it is heartbreaking because the plant looks fine and the peppers looked so promising. Nearly everyone gets the next part wrong. You look it up, you read the word calcium, and you go into a panic. You crush eggshells into the soil, you buy calcium sprays, you dump powdered supplements around the roots. And the rot keeps coming because you have misread the problem. Blossom end rot is a calcium delivery problem, not usually a calcium shortage problem. Most garden soil already has plenty of calcium in it. The trouble is the plant cannot move that calcium up into the fruit fast enough, and the thing that breaks the delivery is the very first mistake on this list. Inconsistent watering. When the soil swings between soaked and bone dry, the plant loses its ability to carry calcium to the growing fruit, and the bottom of the pepper collapses. Excess nitrogen, mistake number 2, makes it worse by pushing fast growth the calcium cannot keep up with. According to the University of Georgia's field report on blossom end rot in peppers and tomatoes, the disorder is driven far more by moisture swings and calcium moving through the plant than by a simple lack of calcium in the ground. So the free fix is not another product. It is the thing you already learned in mistake number 1. Water evenly and deeply, keep that soil steadily moist with a good layer of mulch, and stop swinging between drought and flood. Ease off the heavy nitrogen so the plant is not growing faster than it can supply. Do those two free things, and the calcium already in your soil starts reaching the fruit the way it is supposed to. The eggshells were never the answer. Steady water was. Fix the delivery, and the rot simply stops showing up on the new peppers coming in. Number 5. You never pick that first pepper, so the plant stops making more. We finish with the gentlest mistake, and the one that surprises people the most, because it happens right at the finish line when you think the hard part is over. Your plant finally sets a beautiful pepper. You are so proud of it that you leave it on the vine, waiting for it to get bigger, waiting for it to turn red, showing it off. And without meaning to, you just told the plant to slow down. A pepper plant has one goal, and it is not to feed you. It is to make seeds. Once it has a mature fruit ripening on the branch, especially that first one, the plant reads that as mission accomplished and eases off producing new flowers. All its energy pours into finishing that one prized pepper instead of setting the next 10. Leave enough big fruit hanging, and the whole plant coasts, giving you a trickle when it could be giving you a flood. The free fix feels almost wrong, but it works every time. Pick that first pepper early, while it is still green and a little smaller than you would like. Snipping off that first fruit tells the plant it has more work to do, and it responds by throwing out a fresh wave of flowers. From then on, harvest regularly and often. The more you pick, the more it makes, right through the season. If you want a few to ripen to red or yellow or orange for the sweetness, that is fine. Just leave those for later once the plant is loaded and cranking, and keep steadily picking the rest. Think of it like a bakery. As long as the shelves are full, nobody bakes more bread. Empty the shelves and the ovens fire right back up. One honest note for the different kinds of peppers you might grow, because they are not all the same here. Sweet bells and most large peppers reward this early picking the most, since each big fruit takes a lot out of the plant. Small hot peppers, the kind that set dozens of little fruits at once, are more forgiving and can carry a heavier load without stalling. Either way, the principle holds. A plant that is regularly relieved of its fruit keeps flowering, and a plant left loaded down slows to a crawl. Keep your pepper plant's shelves empty, and it bakes for you all summer long. So there are your 5. Watering in wild swings, feeding for leaves instead of fruit, planting into cold ground, misreading blossom end rot as a calcium shortage, and letting that first pepper sit too long. And I know 5 mistakes can feel like a lot to fix all at once, so let me tell you plainly where to start, the way I would if you were standing in my garden. Do not try to overhaul everything this weekend. Fix the 2 that matter most first, because they quietly solve the others. Number 1, get your watering steady and even deep soaks and a layer of mulch instead of daily splashes. That single change alone prevents most blossom end rot and keeps the plant calm enough to set fruit. Number 2, ease off the heavy nitrogen feeding and let the plant put its energy into peppers instead of leaves. Those 2 cost you nothing but a change of habit, and between them they rescue more pepper harvests than everything else combined. Get those right, then plant into warm soil next spring and pick early once the fruit comes, and you have covered all 5. Picture it a couple of months from now. The same plant you were about to give up on, only this time the branches are bent under the weight of it. Peppers hanging thick and glossy and firm, not a black patch anywhere, and you out there every few days with a full basket because the more you pick, the more it gives. You did not spend $1 to get there. You just stopped making 5 small mistakes that nobody had ever bothered to warn you about. That sinking feeling from the start of the season is gone, and in its place is the quiet satisfaction of a plant finally doing exactly what you planted it to do. If you want more ways to grow more food for a whole lot less, there are plenty of videos just like this one waiting for you here on the channel. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.